The asteroid belt churned like a grinder, spitting shards of rock that pinged off the ember's hull. Cale Vaughn hunched over the controls, the cockpit's dim glow casting shadows across his weathered face. His fingers, calloused from years gripping flight sticks, danced over the console, dodging debris with practiced flicks. The recycled air tasted of metal and sweat, and the low hum of the ship's gravity generator buzzed in his teeth. He rubbed the data chip hanging from his neck, Dren's chip, scratched with a promise, find the spark. 5 years since Dren's blood stained a conquered hangar, and Cale was still chasing ghosts. Proximity alert, Silly's chirped, its voice crackling through the cockpit speakers. The AI's drone body, a battered sphere patched with weld scars, hovered near the nav screen, its optic pulsing red. Big chunk, port side. Want me to vape it? Save the charge, Cale muttered, banking the ember hard left. A boulder the size of a freighter spun past, close enough to rattle the hull, and quit humming that damn tune. Silly's optic dimmed, but it kept humming, a warped, off-key melody Dren had coded into it. You're grumpy today. Bad rations or bad dreams? Cale didn't answer. The dreams were always bad. Dren's scream, Reth's cold stare, the squad's bodies slumping in the dark. He shook it off, eyes scanning the asteroid field. The scintillar expanse was a graveyard of ships and dreams, but it was also a smuggler's haven. Cale had been running odd jobs, hauling rare isotopes, dodging conquered patrols, since he'd gone rogue. Today was supposed to be simple. Scout a salvage tip, grab what he could, and slip out before trouble found him. The nav screen blinked. A new signal pulsed, faint but steady, cutting through the static of the belt's radiation. Cale frowned, tapping the console. Silly's, what's this? The drone whirred, its processors clicking. Unknown origin, not conquered, not clan. It's weird, mathematical, looping like it's trying to talk. Want me to trace it? Cale's gut twisted. Unknown signals in the expanse were never good news. Could be pirates baiting a trap, or worse, some ancient tech waking up. But Dren's voice echoed in his head. The spark changes everything. He rubbed the data chip again. Trace it. Quietly. Silly's optic spun. Got a lock. 2 clicks out, nestled in the belt. Looks like a ship, but it's not moving. No life signs, no power signature except that signal. It's loud, Cale. Like it's screaming. He adjusted course, the thrusters coughing as the ember wove through the asteroid maze. The signal grew sharper, a rhythmic pulse that buzzed in his neural link, a conquered implant he hadn't ripped out, though it itched under his skull. The cockpit's viewport framed the source, a derelict vessel, its hull black and jagged, etched with glowing runes that shimmered like liquid starlight. It hung motionless, dwarfed by the asteroids but radiating menace. Hell, Cale breathed. The ship wasn't human-made. Too angular, too organic, like it had grown rather than been built. No ports, no visible engines, just those runes pulsing in sync with the signal. Silly's, scan it. Anything alive? Negative, Silly said, its voice glitching. Hull's intact, but it's cold. No heat, no emissions, just the signal. And Cale, it's doing something to me. My buffers are ZZZT, overloading. Pull back, Cale snapped, but the signal surged and his neural link flared. Pain spiked behind his eyes and a voice, not Silly's, whispered in his mind. Key, fold, open. Numbers cascaded through his implant, alien equations that twisted like living things. A countdown flickered, 72 hours. He yanked the link's manual override, a wire tucked under his collar, and the voice cut off. His pulse hammered. Silly's, you still with me? The drone wobbled, its hum stuttering. Yeah, but that signal's nasty. It's not just a message, it's code, trying to rewrite something. Us maybe. Cale stared at the derelict. Every instinct screamed to run. But Dren had died chasing something big, something that could burn the stars, he'd said. This ship, this signal, it felt like the edge of that promise. He keyed the thrusters, easing the Ember closer. "We're boarding." "Prep the airlock." Silly's optic flared. "Bad idea, meatbag. That thing's trouble. You feel it, don't you?" He did. The signal's pulse lingered in his bones, like a warning and a lure. But he'd made a vow on Dren's blood, and he wasn't backing out now. Prep it anyway. The derelict's airlock was a jagged maw, its edges curling like burned flesh. Cale's suit hissed as he cycled through, his boots clanging on the alien deck. The air inside was stale, heavy with ozone and something sour like rotting circuits. Silly's floated behind him, its optic casting a weak beam through the dark. The corridor stretched ahead, its walls veined with those glowing runes pulsing faintly. "Life support's dead," Silly said. "No gravity, no heat, but the signal's stronger here. It's coming from the core." Cale drifted forward, mag boots locking with each step. The ship felt wrong, too quiet, too clean. No dust, no debris, just smooth black surfaces that swallowed light. His gloved hand brushed a wall and the runes flared, sending a jolt through his suit. The neural link twitched again, whispering, "Key, fold." He gritted his teeth, ignoring it. They reached the core, a spherical chamber lined with crystalline panels, each etched with more runes. At the center floated a pedestal, and on it a fist-sized orb pulsing with the same rhythm as the signal. It wasn't metal or stone, but something fluid, shifting between colors Cale couldn't name. The air thrummed, heavy with static. "Silly's analysis," he said, his voice muffled in the helmet. The drone scanned the orb, its beam flickering. "Unknown material. Energy output's off the charts, but it's stable. The signal's coming from this thing. It's talking to your implant, Cale, and mine. I'm getting fragments, space-time equations, coordinates, something about a key. It's like a map to nowhere." Cale's hand hovered over the orb. Every nerve screamed to leave it, but Dren's words burned brighter. He grabbed it, and the chamber screamed, a low, keening wail that vibrated through his suit. The runes blazed, and his neural link flooded with data. A star chart, a planet of methane ice, and that countdown now 71 hours. "Silly's, we're out," he barked, kicking off toward the airlock. The drone buzzed after him, its hum frantic. As they reached the Ember, the nav screen lit up with new contacts. 3 ships, fast and armed, their signatures unmistakably conquered. "Patrol," Silly said. "They must have picked up the signal too." "Or us." Cale strapped into the pilot's seat, the orb heavy in his pack. Engines hot, plot an escape vector. The conquered ships closed in, their laser turrets winking in the dark. Cale gunned the thrusters, weaving through asteroids as pulses of plasma scorched the void. The Ember groaned, its hull pinging under impacts. Silly's patched into the weapons, firing chaff to scramble the enemy's sensors. "We can't outrun them," Silly said. "They've got military-grade drives, and oh, crap, incoming hail." Cale's screen flickered, and a face appeared. Reth Valor, his old squad mate, now a conquered commander. His eyes were ice, his gauntlet gleaming with tally marks. "Cale," he said, voice smooth as a blade, "you're out of your depth. Hand over the artifact, and I'll let you limp away." Cale's jaw tightened. Reth had been there when Dren died, had walked away clean while Cale took the fall. "Go to hell, Reth." Reth's smile was thin. "You're chasing ghosts. That signal's bigger than you. Surrender it, or I burn you down." Cale cut the feed, banking hard as a laser grazed the hull. The orb in his pack pulsed, and his neural link sparked again, feeding him coordinates. A planet, Clyros, in the expanse's deep fringes. He didn't trust it, but it was a lead, and he wasn't dying here. "Sillies, we need a jump, now." "The drive's at 60%, Sillies warned. "We jump now, we might not come out whole." "Do it." The stars blurred as the ember's rift key engaged, space folding with a sickening lurch. The conquered ships vanished, and the cockpit fell silent, save for the orb's faint hum. Cale exhaled, his hands shaking. The signal was still there, louder now, and the countdown ticked, 70 hours. Clyros loomed in the viewport, a ball of methane ice glinting under a red dwarf's glow. Its surface was cracked with canyons, and crystalline spires jutted like frozen flames. The signal pointed to a ruin deep in one of those canyons, but the ember was limping, hull breaches, fried sensors, and a rift key that smoked ominously. "We can't land like this," Silly said. "It's optic dim. And that signal's messing with my code. I'm getting echoes, like it knows me." Cale rubbed the data chip, Dren's voice in his head. "We need a mechanic. Someone who can fix this heap and keep their mouth shut." Silly's hummed, pulling up a data slate. "There's a Drift Clan outpost nearby, small, off-grid. They've got a mech named Myra Thal. Good rep, bad temper. She might help if you don't piss her off." Cale steered for the outpost, a ramshackle dome nestled in an asteroid's crater. The Conquered would be hunting them, and the orb's countdown wasn't slowing. He needed a crew, a plan, and answers fast. The outpost reeked of oil and ozone, its corridors a maze of pipes and flickering lights. Cale carried the orb in a shielded case, its pulse muffled but insistent. Sillies floated at his shoulder, scanning for threats. The locals, Drift Clan scavengers in patched jumpsuits, eyed him warily, their hands never far from knives. Myra Thal was in the hangar, elbow-deep in a gutted engine. Her dark hair was braided with wire, and her hands shook slightly as she worked, though her tools moved with precision. She glanced up, her eyes sharp. "You Cale Vaughn. Heard your trouble." "Trouble finds me," Cale said, setting the case down. "My ship's dying. Can you fix it?" Myra wiped her hands, sizing him up. "Depends. What's in the box?" "Salvage," Cale said, too quick. Her eyes narrowed. "Bull. That's no ordinary cargo. I felt it hum through the deck." She crossed her arms. "Spill, or I walk." Cale hesitated. Trust wasn't his strong suit, not after Reth. But the countdown was at 68 hours, and the ember wouldn't fly without her. He opened the case, the orb's glow spilling out. Myra's breath caught. "That's not clan tech," she said. "Not Conquered either." "Where'd you get it?" "Derelict in the belt," Cale said. "It's got a signal pointing to Clyros. I need to follow it, but my ship's shot, and the Conquered's on my tail." Myra's hands twitched, like she was fighting a memory. "Conquered doesn't chase junk. What's it do?" "I don't know yet," Cale admitted. "But it's big, big enough to change things." She studied him, then the orb. "I'll fix your ship, but I'm coming with you. Whatever that thing is, I want answers too." Cale didn't like it, but he nodded. "Deal. How fast can you work?" "Fast enough," Myra said, already turning to her tools. "But if this goes south, I'm not dying for your ghost hunt." Myra worked miracles, patching the ember's hull and coaxing the rift key back to life. But as they prepped for Clyros, Silly's optic flickered erratically. "Cale," it said, voice low, "the signal's changing. It's probing us, and I'm picking up new contacts, fast movers not Conquered." Cale's screen lit up. Pirate skiffs, lean and bristling with guns, emerging from the asteroid field. Their hulls were painted with jagged sigils, marking them as Red Fang raiders. "Ambush," he growled. "Myra, strap in." The skiffs opened fire, plasma bolts tearing through the void. Cale spun the ember into a dive, asteroids exploding around them. Myra cursed from the co-pilot's seat, her hands flying over the weapon's console. Sillies patched into the defenses, deploying decoys that flared like dying stars. "They're after the orb," Silly said. "Their comms are screaming about a key." How do they know? Cale didn't answer, his focus on the skiffs. One grazed the hull, and the cockpit shook, alarms blaring. Myra fired a salvo, clipping a skiff's engine. It spun into an asteroid, bursting in a silent fireball. "Nice shot," Cale said, banking hard. "Don't get used to it," Myra snapped, but her lips twitched. They cleared the belt, the skiffs falling back, but the damage was done. The Ember's systems flickered, and the orb's signal roared in Cale's neural link, drowning out thought. Key, fold, open. The countdown hit 66 hours. As Claros' icy canyons loomed closer, Cale gripped the controls, Dren's chip heavy against his chest. The signal was a beacon, a trap, or both, and he was flying straight into it. The methane ice canyons of Claros glittered under the red dwarf's glare, their crystalline walls refracting light into jagged rainbows. The Ember skimmed low, its patched hull groaning as Cale threaded through spires that stabbed the sky like frozen knives. The orb's signal roared in his neural link, a relentless pulse that drowned out the hum of the ship's engines. The countdown ticked, 64 hours. Myra sat rigid in the co-pilot's seat, her wire-braided hair catching the cockpit's glow, her hands steady despite the faint tremor Cale had noticed. Sillies hovered near the nav console, its optic flickering erratically, as if the signal was gnawing at its circuits. "Landing zones ahead," Cale said, his voice tight. The coordinates from the orb pointed to a canyon floor, where a ruined silhouette loomed, a cluster of crystalline domes and spires, half buried in ice. "Sillies, any life signs?" The drone's hum stuttered, negative, but the signal's spiking. "It's louder down there, like it's awake." Myra glanced at the shielded case holding the orb, its glow seeping through the seams. "That thing's trouble. You sure this ruin's worth it?" Cale rubbed the data chip necklace, Dren's voice echoing. "Find the spark. It's what Dren died for. I'm not turning back." Myra's eyes narrowed, but she didn't argue. She'd patched the Ember enough to land, but the rift key smoked ominously, and the hull was one bad hit from cracking open. The Red Fang ambush had cost them time and power, and Cale knew the conquered, Reth Valor, far behind. The signal was a beacon drawing trouble like moths to a flame. He eased the Ember down, the landing gear crunching into ice. The canyon walls towered overhead, their facets shimmering with trapped light. The airlock hissed as they suited up, the orb's case slung across Cale's back. Sillies floated ahead, its beam cutting through the methane haze. Myra checked her plasma cutter, her hands steady now, focused. "Stay sharp," she said. "This place feels like a tomb." The ruin's entrance was a gaping arch, its edges carved with runes that pulsed in sync with the orb. The air inside was frigid, heavy with the tang of ozone and something metallic, like blood but sharper. Cale's mag boots clanged on the crystalline floor, each step echoing in the vast chamber. The walls were a lattice of translucent panels, etched with patterns that shifted like liquid starlight. Sillies' optic dimmed, its hum faltering. "This isn't a ruin," it said. "It's alive. The signal's everywhere." Cale's neural link buzzed, the orb's pulse syncing with his heartbeat. "Key, fold, open." The words were clearer now, laced with urgency. He gripped the case tighter, fighting the urge to rip out his implant. "Keep scanning. Find the source." They moved deeper, the chambers growing stranger. Corridors that bent at impossible angles, gravity that tugged sideways, air that hummed with static. Myra's cutter flared as she sliced through a collapsed arch, revealing a spiral ramp descending into darkness. "This place wasn't built for us," she muttered. "Look at the scale. Too big, too wrong." Cale nodded, his eyes on the runes. They weren't just symbols, they moved, crawling across the walls like insects. His link flashed a new image, a starfield folding in on itself, a planet vanishing into a rift. The countdown dropped to 62 hours. A low rumble shook the floor and Sillies' optic flared. Trap, it barked. The ceiling cracked, and crystalline shards rained down, sharp as blades. Cale dove, shoving Myra aside as a slab grazed his suit, tearing a gash in the arm. Alarms blared in his helmet, pressure dropping, oxygen hissing out. Myra grabbed his arm, sealing the tear with a quick patch. "Move, idiot," she snapped, hauling him down the ramp. Silly's buzzed ahead, its beam flickering as the walls pulsed faster. The air grew heavier, the runes blazing now, and Cale's link screamed with data, equations, coordinates, a warning. Do not wake the chorus. They stumbled into a vast chamber, its ceiling a dome of fractured crystal that scattered the red dwarf's light like bloodstains. At the center stood a platform, and on it a jagged device, part machine, part crystal, pulsing with the same rhythm as the orb. It was larger, more complex, its surface veined with energy that crackled like lightning. "The key," Cale whispered, the word slipping out before he could stop it. The orb in his pack thrummed as if answering. Silly's word, its voice glitching. "That's no key. It's a lock, or a gate. The signal's coming from it, but it's incomplete, like it needs the orb to—" A piercing shriek cut through the chamber, not sound but vibration, rattling Cale's bones. The platform glowed, and drones, sleek, crystalline, with no visible weapons, rose from the floor, their facets flashing with intent. "Hostiles," Silly shouted, its beam locking onto one. The drone fired a pulse of light, grazing Silly's shell and sending it spinning. Cale drew his pistol, a scavenged, conquered model, and fired. The bolt shattered a drone, but more emerged, their movements fluid, coordinated like a hive. Myra's cutter roared, slicing through another, but the chamber shook again, gravity lurching. Cale's boots lost traction, and he floated upward, cursing as a drone's pulse scorched his leg. "Fall back," he yelled, but Myra was pinned, her cutter sparking as a drone closed in. Before Cale could move, a new sound ripped through the chamber, a high, chittering wail, ultrasonic and piercing. The drones froze, then shattered, their fragments raining down like glass. A figure emerged from the shadows, tall, insectoid, its hide glowing with bioluminescent patterns. Its mandibles clicked, and a translator crackled with broken human words. "You loud, bad loud, I stop." Cale lowered his pistol, heart pounding. "Who the hell are you?" "Jor," the creature said, its 6 legs skittering on the crystal floor. Its eyes compound, glinting, fixed on the orb's case. "Exile, no ruins, no signal. You carry chorus piece." Myra stepped forward, cutter still humming. "Chorus, what's that?" Jor's hide flashed blue, then red. "Old song, old makers, gone. Signal calls them back, dangerous." It gestured at the platform's device. "That part of key, you take, you wake, bad waking." Cale's link buzzed again, the countdown at 60 hours. "We need that device," he said. "It's tied to the signal, to answers." Jor's mandibles twitched. "Answers kill, but I help, I seek chorus too, home." Its voice cracked, a human-like ache in the translator. Myra glanced at Cale, skeptical. "You trust this bug?" "No," Cale said, "but we're out of moves." He turned to Jor. "You're with us. Help us get that thing and get out." Jor led them through the ruins, its bioluminescence guiding the way. The insectoid moved with eerie grace, dodging traps Cale hadn't even seen, panels that shifted to crush, beams that burned through steel. It chittered constantly, mixing alien sounds with human slang it must have picked up from traders. "Hurry, meatbags, ruins angry." Myra worked the platform, her tools sparking as she pried the device free. It was heavy, its surface warm and pulsing, like the orb but angrier. The moment she lifted it, the chamber roared, and the walls began to collapse, crystal shards raining down. Cale grabbed the device, shoving it into a sling as they ran. The ruins fought back. Gravity flipped, slamming them against walls. Drones swarmed, their pulses scorching the air. Jor's chittering shattered some, but others closed in. Silly's optic flickered, its voice glitching. Kale, signals rewriting me. I'm ZZZT, losing core functions. Hang on, Kale shouted, firing at a drone as they reached the entrance. The Ember was just outside, but the canyon shook, ice cracking underfoot. A new signal blared on Kale's link, not the orbs but conquered signatures. Reth's fleet closing fast. They piled into the Ember, Myra strapping the device to the cargo hold. Kale hit the controls, the ship lurching skyward as laser fire lit the canyon. Conquered interceptors, sleek, predatory, swarmed, their bolts tearing chunks from the ice. Kale spun through spires, the hull screaming under stress. Shields at 20%, Silly said, its voice faint. I'm trying to ZZZT block the signal. It's in me, Kale. Myra cursed, patching the console. We need to jump, now. The rift key's fried, Kale said, dodging a missile. The orb and the device pulsed in unison, their signal drowning his link with visions. Stars collapsing, worlds folding into voids, a voice chanting chorus. The countdown hit 58 hours. Jor's hide flashed, its translator crackling. Trade hub, near, safe, jump there. Kale didn't trust it, but the interceptors were gaining, and Silly's optic was nearly dark. He slammed the rift key, space twisting with a nauseating snap. The canyon vanished, and the Ember dropped into a trade hub's orbit, a sprawling station orbiting a gas giant, its rings glinting with salvage. But as they docked, Silly's convulsed, its drone body slamming into the cockpit wall. Its optic glowed red, and its voice wasn't its own. Key, fold, open. The device in the hold flared, and Kale's link screamed with a new warning. The chorus wakes. Myra grabbed his arm, her eyes wide. What the hell's happening to it? Kale stared at Silly's, Dren's last gift, now a puppet for the signal. The countdown ticked, 57 hours. We fix it, he said, voice hard. And we figure out what this key really is, before it kills us all. The trade hub, Nexus 7, hung like a rusted crown around the gas giant's swirling storms, its rings glinting with salvage and debris. The Ember limped into a docking bay, its hull scorched from the Clyro's escape, the rift key coughing sparks. Kale Vaughn gripped the controls, his neural link throbbing with the orb's signal, now a deafening chant. Key, fold, open. The countdown burned in his mind. 55 hours. Silly's drone body lay inert in the cockpit, its optic dark, the alien signal having burrowed into its core. Myra Thal worked feverishly at a console, her wire-braided hair frayed, her hands trembling as she tried to stabilize the ship. Jor, the insectoid linguist, skittered nearby, its bioluminescent hide pulsing with nervous blues and greens, its translator spitting fragmented warnings. Chorus, waking, bad waking. Kale rubbed the datachip necklace, Dren's promise a weight he couldn't shake. The orb and the crystalline device from Clyro's, pieces of the key, sat in the cargo hold, their pulses sinking, radiating heat through their shielded case. The trade hub was their last chance to fix Silly's, decode the key, and stay ahead of Reth Valor's conquered fleet. But Nexus 7 was a snake pit, smugglers, spies, and mercenaries bordering in isotopes and secrets. Trouble was already waiting. Docking complete, Myra said, her voice tight. She glanced at Silly's lifeless shell. We need a tech who can crack AI code, and fast. That signal's eating it alive. Kale nodded, his jaw set. Jor, you know this place. The insectoid's mandibles clicked, its translator glitching. No, some, traders, fixers, dangerous, signal calls them too, feel it. Jor's hide flashed red, a warning. Kale slung the shielded case over his shoulder, the key's pulse vibrating through his suit. We move quick, find a tech, get Silly's back, and figure out what this thing does before Reth catches up. Myra's eyes flicked to the case. And if it's a weapon, or worse, then we deal with it, Cale said, but his voice lacked conviction. The visions from his neural link, stars collapsing, worlds folding into voids, clawed at him. Dren had died chasing this spark, and Cale was starting to wonder if it was meant to burn them all. Nexus 7's corridors were a labyrinth of noise and neon, the air thick with the tang of recycled oxygen and sizzling street food. Traders hawked glowing vials of isotopes, their stalls draped with holographic banners. A drift clan bard strummed a wire harp, singing of lost fleets, while a cyborg hawker offered neural mods that promised to see the stars' secrets. Cale kept his head low, the case heavy on his back. Myra walked close, her plasma cutter tucked under her jacket, her eyes scanning the crowd. Jor trailed behind, its hide dimmed to avoid attention, though its chittering drew stares. They found a tech shop in a grimy corner of the hub, its sign flickering. Neura Fix, mods, repairs, no questions. The tech, a wiry human named Gav, had oil-stained fingers and a neural jack glinting at his temple. He eyed Silly's drone, then the crew, his gaze lingering on the shielded case. AI's fried, rare model, conquered tech but tampered. What's it carrying? Bad code, Cale said, setting Silly's on the workbench. Can you clean it? Gav smirked, plugging a cable into Silly's port. Bad code's my specialty, but it'll cost, and I'm guessing you're not here for a tune-up. He tapped the case. What's humming in there? Myra stepped forward, her hand on her cutter. Fix the drone, leave the rest. Gav raised his hands, grinning. Easy, clan girl, I'll poke around. His screen lit up with Silly's code, streams of data corrupted by alien symbols, runes like those on the derelict. Hell, he muttered, this isn't code, it's alive, like it's rewriting itself. Cale's link buzzed, the countdown at 53 hours. Can you save the AI? Gav's fingers flew over the console. Maybe. It's fighting back, but the signal's got hooks in deep. Looks like it's trying to connect to something big. Jor's hide flashed, its translator crackling. Chorus, old makers, Key calls them, wakes them. Gav frowned. Chorus. Sounds like cult talk. You're mixed up in something weird, friend. Cale ignored him, his eyes on Silly's. Dren had built the AI, coded its quirks, its sarcasm, its off-key hums. Losing it would be like losing Dren again. Just do it, he said, as Gav worked. Myra pulled Cale aside, her voice low. We need to talk, about me. Her hands twitched, the tremor worse now. Back on Clyros, you asked why I'm here. Truth is, I ran. 5 years ago, the Conquered hit my clan's fleet. I got out. My daughter didn't. She's alive out there with a smuggler who owed me. I need to find her, Cale. This key, if it's worth what you think, I can buy her safety. Cale's chest tightened. He knew loss, knew the ache of a promise unkept. We'll find her, he said, after we figure this out. Myra's eyes softened, but before she could reply, a comms unit on Gav's bench crackled. A child's voice broke through, faint but clear. Mama, it's Lyra, I'm okay, but hurry. The signal cut out, leaving Myra frozen, her breath ragged. How'd you get that? She demanded, grabbing Gav's collar. Smuggler's relay, Gav said, wincing, came through the hub's network. I can trace it, but... Do it, Myra snapped, her voice steel. Cale's link flared, a new vision. A station burning, a child's silhouette against the flames. The countdown ticked, 52 hours. Gav traced the signal to a smuggler's den on the hub's lower levels, but Silly's wasn't ready. The AI's optic flickered weakly, its voice a garbled whisper. Cale, signal wants out. Gav swore, unplugging cables. It's stable, barely. Needs a full reboot, but I've blocked the worst of the code. For now. Cale hoisted Silly's drone, its weight heavier than it should have been. We're moving. Jor, you got those runes from Clyros. Jor's hide pulsed, its translator clearer now. Yes, old Maker's words, key, folds space, time, reality, but breaks it too, Maker's died, used key, gone. Kale's stomach churned. The visions, the countdown, it wasn't just a weapon, it was a force, something that could unravel the expanse. He glanced at Myra, her face set with a mother's fire, and Jor, its compound eyes gleaming with a longing for home. He couldn't stop now, not with Dren's ghost at his back. The smuggler's den was a dive bar, its air thick with smoke and the tang of spilled liquor. The smuggler, a scarred Drift Clan woman named Tira, leaned against a counter, her eyes sharp. "Myra Thal," she said, smirking. "Didn't think you'd show. Lyra's safe for now, but I need payment, big payment." Myra's cutter hummed, but Kale stepped in. "Name your price." Tira's gaze flicked to the case. "That, whatever's humming in there, it's got the hub buzzing. Concord's sniffing around too." Kale's link spiked, a Concord hail cutting through, Reth Valor's voice cold and precise. "Kale, you're cornered. Meet me at Docking Bay 12. Bring the artifacts, or Nexus 7 burns." Myra grabbed his arm. "You can't trust him." "I know," Kale said, his mind racing. Reth had betrayed him once, left him to rot while Dren bled out. But the countdown was at 50 hours, and Silly's was barely functional. He needed time. "Jor, can you decode more of the key's runes?" Jor chittered, its hide flashing. "Need quiet, time, chorus speaks slow." Kale turned to Tira. "Get us to Lyra, we'll pay, but not with this." He tapped the case. Tira laughed. "You're out of moves, pilot, but fine, follow me." Tira led them to a hidden dock, where a battered shuttle held Lyra, a girl of 10, her eyes wide with Myra's fire. Myra dropped to her knees, pulling Lyra into a hug, her hands shaking but steady now. "I'm here," she whispered. "I'm here." Kale watched, his chest tight. He'd never had family, not after the Concord took everything. But seeing Myra with Lyra, he felt Dren's chip burn against his skin. He had to finish this for them, for Dren. Silly's optic flickered, its voice faint. "Kale, signals moving. Concord, close." Kale's link confirmed it. Reth's fleet orbiting Nexus 7, their weapons hot. He turned to Tira. "Get Myra and Lyra out, now." Tira nodded, ushering them to the shuttle. Myra hesitated, her eyes meeting Kale's. "Don't die, you stubborn bastard." Kale grinned, the first real smile in days. "Not planning to." As the shuttle vanished, Kale and Jor headed for Docking Bay 12, Silly's slung over Kale's shoulder. The bay was a cavern of steel and shadows, Reth waiting at its center, flanked by Concord troopers. His gauntlet gleamed with tally marks, his eyes cold. "You're predictable, Kale. Always chasing Dren's ghosts." Kale set Silly's down, the case heavy on his back. "You killed him, Reth. You don't get to talk about ghosts." Reth's face twitched, a crack in his armor. Dren was a fool. He thought he could change the expanse with fairy tales. "That key you're carrying, its power, Kale. The Concord needs it to crush the Drift clans, end this chaos." Jor's hide flared, its translator spitting. "Key breaks, not builds. Makers died." "You die." Reth's eyes narrowed. "Step aside, bug, or I burn this hub to slag." Kale's link screamed, the countdown at 48 hours. Visions flooded him, a singularity opening, stars folding into darkness. The key wasn't just a weapon, it was a gate, and it was waking. He glanced at Silly's, its optic flickering, and made a choice. Silly's now. The AI's drone hummed, weak but alive, and unleashed a pulse, Gav's patch, a last-ditch EMP. The trooper's suit sparked, their weapons dropping. Reth lunged, but Kale was faster, slamming him against a crate. "This ends Reth." Reth laughed, blood on his lips. "You can't stop it. The key's awake. You'll burn with it." Jor chittered, its hide blazing. "Run, now, chorus sings." Kale dragged Sillies and the case, sprinting for the ember. The hub shook, alarms blaring as conquered ships opened fire. He reached the cockpit, Jor sealing the hatch. The key's pieces pulsed, their signal drowning his link. Sillies' optic glowed faintly. "Kale, I can't hold it." "Then don't," Kale said, strapping in. He punched the rift key, the stars blurring as the ember jumped into a nebula's haze. The conquered fleet followed, their bolts lighting the gas clouds like a storm. The nebula was a graveyard of light, its currents swirling with plasma and dust. Kale wove the ember through tendrils of gas, the key's signal a beacon in his mind. Jor's runes had revealed the truth. The key was a relic of the chorus, an ancient species that folded space-time and destroyed themselves in the process. Activating it could reshape the expanse or unravel it. Sillies' voice crackled, barely audible. "Kale, use me. Channel signal through core. Save you." Kale's hand froze on the controls. Sillies was Dren's last piece, his only tether. But the countdown was at 46 hours, and Reth's flagship loomed in the viewport, its cannons charging. "No," he said, "we fix you." "No time," Sillies whispered. "Dren wanted spark. I spark." Kale's eyes burned, but he nodded. He patched Sillies into the keys case, the AI's core linking with the orb and device. The signal surged, and the ember's rift key flared, folding space in a way it shouldn't. The nebula twisted, and Reth's flagship vanished into a rift, its hull crumpling like paper. Sillies' optic went dark, its hum silent. The key's pulse faded, the countdown frozen at 45 hours. Kale sat back, his hands shaking, Dren's chip cold against his chest. The ember drifted in the nebula's quiet, its hull scarred but whole. Myra and Lyra were safe, Tira's shuttle bound for a Drift Clan haven. Jor sat beside Kale, its hide dim, chorus silent for now, more pieces out there. Kale stared at the stars, Sillies' shell lifeless in the co-pilot's seat. He unclipped Dren's chip, letting it float in the zero-G, a glint against the nebula's glow. "We'll find them," he said, "and we'll do it right." A faint signal pinged on the console, not the keys, but something new, distant, insistent. Kale set a course, the stars stretching ahead. The expanse was vast, and its shadows burned with secrets.